Welcome to the Focal Insights Podcast Founder Hour edition, hosted by co-founder Joe Pawlak. Joe has been in the e-commerce industry for over 25 years. He grew and bootstrapped his own startup to a successful exit. Founder Hour episodes go behind the scenes to learn how some of the best e-commerce brands were founded, grown, and operated straight from the founders themselves. Founder Hour is brought to you by Focal Software, a new generation ERP and operation suite for e-commerce brands and third-party marketplace sellers. Focal was built with SMB brands and marketplace sellers in mind to help them grow profitably. Now let's welcome our host, Joe Pawlak.
And welcome to the Focal E-commerce Insights podcast, where we chat with e-commerce entrepreneurs about business, selling online, and how to overcome challenges for success. Joining us today is Ken Kwiatkowski. Ken is the president and CEO of Sprinkler Guard by Grasshole. He has more than 25 years experience as an executive professional in public and private accounting arenas in both profit and nonprofit corporations, serving in different roles as chief financial officer, controller, chief operating officer, and chairman of the board. Ken has raised over $4 million while bringing community awareness to various organizations. He is a United States Navy veteran who served in Desert Shield and Desert Storm, is a husband of 29 years with 2 children, and currently resides in Bradenton, Florida. Ken, welcome to the podcast.
Welcome, Joe. Thanks for having me on the show today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Ken, based on your introduction there, you've covered a lot of ground, private, public, profit, nonprofit, your military background. So I always find stories fascinating about how you got to the business owner part of it and having your own business, because a lot of times people, that's in their head at a very young age and they're always moving toward that. But it sounds like maybe you didn't get there till maybe a little bit later in your career. Why don't you talk a little bit about that journey?
Well, actually, Joe, I have a CFO fractional practice, which I've had for 20 plus years. But the reason I got more involved with the Sprinkler Guard by Grasshole was solving my own problem of the cement donuts. They sink, they crack, they fall apart. A piece gets cut up in your lawnmower. You just spun a bearing and you just spent $1,000 to fix your riding mower.
Yeah, well, that's a great point, because that's what we're really all about when you have a business. Is if you have a problem that you can solve for yourself, then there's likely somebody else that has that problem. And if it's a common problem, then you can solve a lot for a lot of people and help them. So
Absolutely.
So talk a little bit about that journey, though. Then so you have a little bit more of a corporate, people refer to kind of a 9-to-5 kind of thing people refer to, but I don't know if that's the thing that you wanted to get out of, away from, with your own company, or talk a little bit about that and maybe how you made that leap.
Well, when you go from the corporate side, you're still working 50 hours a week. I think when you go to being an owner of your own company, you're working twice as much and you're working 7 days a week, because there's always things that pop up as you're expanding, building that foundation and finding the right people to assist you along the way. There's been a few times, you trust people, you pay them, and then there's no execution. So that's the tough part. And in betrayals and trusting people sometimes maybe a little too much and giving them the opportunity to grow with you. But obviously they're just taking your money and not doing anything to benefit or help your company.
Yeah. And I think that you hit on 2 really big things in business and running businesses, is having a good team around you, and especially a team that you can trust. So that's one of the challenges that we always see, because you cannot do it alone. You've got to have help. And talk a little bit about that, maybe then, putting together a team and any challenges that you've seen along those lines.
And I'll call it the pros and cons of a startup. You're better off buying somebody else's business that's already existing. If you want to start from scratch, I could teach you the pluses and minuses, what to do and what not to do. And it's all part of a startup company. I mean, I came up with this great idea, then started making prototypes out of paper and plastic, then finding, then venturing out and who can manufacture this for me? And I was trying to go locally to keep it in my bounds. As a veteran, I couldn't send my stuff to China and manufacture there. I just didn't, I just couldn't do it. And so I did find a local manufacturer, and from start to finish, from building prototypes by hand to building the mold and manufacturing and doing all the graphics, filing the patents, filing the trademarks. I mean, I was on the shelf in 5 months. 5 months.
Yeah, that's fast.
It is fast, and no, I'm kind of proud of that. And there were some leaks in the bucket along the way. There's no doubt about that. And then you start fine-tuning things. Yeah, I started selling on my website. I had a friend who sat on a board with me, a non-for-profit board, Heal Corp, and he was helping me set up my store with and my shopping cart, and we were using GoDaddy for the processing and WooCommerce and WordPress to build the website. Eventually, we expanded to Amazon, which is an animal in itself. They are the gorilla out there, and they can outmarket anybody nowadays as well still. Um, but working with Amazon was, I mean, it has its pluses, but it has its minuses too. When they're taking 50, 55% of the gross sale because you're advertising with them, you're shipping with them, they're charging you for inventory space. Then you got your manufacturing costs on top of that. So maybe you're making a few bucks here and there, but it is a good way to start to get your product name out there.
Yeah, and that's a good point. And how did you start? Did you do it all yourself with Amazon? Did you hire an agency? And as that progressed, as you saw the kind of pitfalls or challenges with Amazon, have you considered an agency, or have you used agencies? How'd that happen?
I did hire an agency to help me set up on Amazon. My fault was they used their email address like they were the owner and not me. Subsequently, I let them go because I didn't need them. But to find out, I couldn't change anything on Amazon because they were like they were the owners. And and somewhere in between, they actually sold that agency practice. And I was fortunate enough to call over there, and there was somebody that was still there. So they were able to give me the OTP code. So then I could go in and change everything, get my product branded, which is a huge thing to protect you against other companies out there trying to steal your product. But that took me 8 months to finally figure it out because you're spinning your wheels, 4 hours. And I thought my attorney did something and he wasn't. Then it took, and I had an epiphany and I called the agency. Yeah, yeah, I'm still here. And I go, it's going to send you an OTP code. Give it to me. Then I was able to change everything over to me.
Yeah, you got lucky there, because there are a lot of stories like that where they just won't help. And even though getting that OTP was 5 minutes of work, a lot of times it won't happen. So a very important thing for anyone listening is that when you create an Amazon store or other marketplace stores, these are assets of the company. They stand alone as an asset, and you have to maintain complete control and ownership of those assets, or you can lose a lot.
You got to make sure that agency's using your name, your email address, and not theirs. They are not the super admin person for your account. Then try to get branded with them. It's a nightmare. It's a
Yeah,
nightmare.
yeah. Everything they do should be on your behalf, not setting up things that they control.
Even my UPS account, it's under my friend who helped me out. He put his name, but eventually I didn't change the user ID name. I just changed the password.
Yeah. Okay. And how are you still selling on Amazon? And how's that going? Was that where if we get into wins with business, and was that a success for you?
The win-win was I met a gentleman at the National Home and Garden Show 2 years ago, and his company is a big reseller on Amazon. He goes, let me use your Seller Central account. I will buy from you directly. I will pay you directly. And this way you don't have to wait for Amazon to pay you every 2 weeks. And then you get all the returns back from these people who take your product, they hack it all up, stick it in the dirt, and you can't even recycle the plastic anymore. Never mind trying to resell. So I've been working with him, almost 2 years. And what he does, he buys a tractor trailer load from me once a quarter. I get paid 50% when he places the order, and I get the balance when that truck leaves the loading dock. The relationship doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, that's a great example of a complete do-it-for-you agency or individual. So you can put that aside. You've established some trust there. You trust the guy now, and you don't worry about it.
Exactly. And there's nothing better than you get that money in your account. I mean, you don't have to worry about him mailing a check. His CFO wires the money directly in my account. I see it. I'm happy. And sometimes there's things that pop up in people's lives, and I may get, when the truck leaves the by manufacturer over here in Bradenton, it may be a day or two later before I get the balance, but it's still all good. It's still all good.
Yeah, and when you talk about these big marketplaces with a lot of reach, there's oftentimes some capacity issues. And since you mentioned your U.S. based manufacturing, I think right in Florida, right? So
Correct.
are you always able to keep up with any demand and ramp up or down as demand goes? Or
I could ramp up, I could ramp down. I get charged accordingly to how many units I'm going to produce. Each level has a different price per unit. Obviously, the more units I produce in a run, the cheaper it is for me.
yeah, and you've got so much control over so many parts of that you're able to have competitive pricing. I'm not really sure that you have a lot of competitors for that product. Maybe you do, and I'm sure some of them are made in China. So how do you manage the margins and compete on price just by having so much control of that process?
I think my pricing is fair, comparative what's out there on the market. My product does more than just the cement donut or other things out on the market. Besides protecting your sprinkler head against mowers, trimmers, it also keeps your sprinkler heads aligned with the tube section. Fully customizable. So on the back side of the disc here, there's perforations. So if it's near your driveway or sidewalk or a building, you just score along the perforations and snap it off. You cannot do that with the cement donut. There's over 1,000 configurations there that they could do. Um, Also, as far as vehicles running over it, I have mine on the near my driveway. They're constantly being run over. So I have no problems with broken sprinkler heads. I did get a comment. Well, what happens if a horse walks on it? Well, you know what? I don't know. I don't have any horses, but please let me know if that happens and how your sprinkler heads handle that situation.
Yeah, that's going to be a pretty small outlier of your entire use case.
Correct.
Horse.
Correct. You know what? These are actually a big seller at doggy parks. There's a couple places up in New Hampshire that have bought in a lot of these because dogs like to chew on sprinkler heads. And with
Oh,
these
yeah,
around it, they can't get their muzzle into the where the sprinkler head is, so they can't chew them off.
there you go. It's dog proof.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so what you're saying there, as far as margins go, you've got fair price and a superior product. So educating people on that product and its use, probably reviews, videos, things like that, you're able to get a fair price for it.
Correct. And so a lot of my advertising, we use videos to explain the product better. Because if I just say, hey, we're having a sale on sprinkler guards by Grasshole, people don't know I'm not McDonald's yet. If I said, we're having a sale at Kentucky Fried Chicken, you know what I'm talking about. I haven't gotten to that level yet. I am getting there. And, that's why we rebranded per my coach, JT Fox, we rebranded from Grasshole to Sprinkler Guard by Grasshole. Sprinkler Guard is a better SEO term. It helps people identify kind of what the product is right off the bat without having to explain it. But the key is with advertising, we use a lot of videos to explain my product, and we always defer people back to my website to watch additional videos or even go to YouTube.
Yeah, that's a great place to learn a lot about the different products from people actually using them, is just watching some videos on it.
And and
Okay.
even the best part is I've been voted #1 sprinkler head protection product by Best of Best. Now, I'm not affiliated with Best of Best at all. So in 2023, they acknowledged me as the best sprinkler head protection product. And in 2024, they re-acknowledged as the best sprinkler head protection product. There is another firm that acknowledged me in 2024 as well. So, I mean, you can't, it's a UV virgin plastic ABS plastic with a UV deterrent in there. So, I mean, we're in Florida. It has a lot of sun, and the tube section's drafted. My sprinkler guards have gone through several hurricanes. They're not coming out of the ground for anything.
Yeah, and you've got a lot of golf courses in Florida too. I imagine that's
Well,
something.
golf courses use a little bigger of a sprinkler head. So if I have a commitment, because they're using 5 or 6 inch heads, sprinkler heads, because they got a lot of ground to cover,
Yeah.
that I would actually build another mold just for the golf courses.
Okay. All right, well, let's switch gears a little bit and talk about some technology stuff. So every company is going to need software to help run their business. What do you do, or what have you good and bad, anything that you've used that failed? You don't have to name them by name, but just the experience, or things that you found are super helpful in running your business, and as it relates to e-commerce, if you have any tools along those lines as well.
So, as far as accounting goes, as a CFO, I just use QuickBooks, and I have another program for do the corporate tax returns. We've just ventured into Ring Central and the integration with Salesforce, being that we have sent out a lot of emails to people and we don't know if they're winding up in their spam filters. So we're going back to old school. We're going to be dialing for dollars and building that relationship with these people. We recently got into the market in California with a school district there. So we're venturing with the other school districts. So we're creating that database because they've all been in Excel. So how do you keep good notes in there, so forth? So my executive assistant and a new colleague that I brought on board, they're integrating, taking all those Excel spreadsheets and putting them into Salesforce. Then we could begin dialing for dollars.
All right. Well, also, when we talk about selling online, or growing your business, we have to talk about the future. Now, e-commerce specifically is a $6 trillion market. About 20% of every single retail purchase is done online, and that's supposed to grow to about $8 trillion in the next 2 years, which is a massive increase. What do you think is the future? Or what are you looking forward to, or any changes that you might see coming, or that you're adapting to for the
I- I'm
future?
wait, I'm waiting to see the changes in TikTok. Um, listening to what's Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank there, and I know they want a US based company to have ownership in it. We started I started like 2 years ago, started applying for TikTok. Then I said, I just can't do it right now. But as things are changing, we're starting that application process. We've already started it. So TikTok is a huge seller for e-commerce. Um, the bad part is it's Chinese based, it's Chinese owned company with affiliations with the government. So I'm hoping that somebody here in the US, whether it's Kevin O'Leary, Elon Musk, but I think it's going to be wind up owned by the US at some place or time, probably sooner than later, because there's so many entrepreneurs out there and e-commerce people losing money because the government is kind of interfering but it's for our own benefit. But hopefully they can resolve this in the next 30 days now that we have a new commander in chief.
Yeah, that's an interesting point too, because if you look at a platform like TikTok, the demographics on that are traditionally pretty young people that will be using that platform for, potentially their entire lives. So it's a whole new generation coming into this technology-based platform. Um, but like you said, as of yesterday, which for anyone listening, yesterday was the inauguration of the new commander in chief. But the future of TikTok is somewhat uncertain. But I think it'll be around. It's too big to go away at this point.
Agreed, agreed. So, besides advertising with Meta, the Facebook, the Instagram, we do some Google marketing as well. And, our struggle with Google lately, we've been trying to get my company verified. Now, Google has switched, I think, their intelligence. So when you're applying to be verified, they're using AI, which there's no human factor. So when you're uploading a video or whatever, it's not really taking that human thing into effect. Here's your address. And a lot of home-based business like mine, I mean, this is my office within my house. They're not realizing, okay, here's your address. Okay, I'm walking into a place of business. Okay, this looks like it, because they don't want a lot of people getting verified who shouldn't be getting verified either, or who are trying to steal your credentials. I mean, it's good for it's good protection. However, they make it hard to get verified at the same time.
Yeah, yeah, very true. And so I think the point here for the future is technologies, and you briefly touched on AI, but different apps, different technologies, just increasing that reach and making it easier for people to find your products or you on whatever platform they choose to look on.
Exactly. So we run on all platforms for the most part, and we post on a daily basis. I believe we post in the morning, then at night. And the outcome of that is I see sales in the morning and I see sales in the evening. But yeah, I
Yeah.
don't want to inundate people with like the pillow guy, Mike Lindell. I have to change the channel when his commercial comes on. This is why I stayed away from doing my own ads. But people like to see, in the beginning, I was shooting my own ads and using my Illustrator, was doing them off my iPhone, and we were posting them up. People like to see who created this. And so there are still some videos out there, on several videos, by the way, on YouTube, just me in front of my house explaining my products, doing the comparative analysis. A good friend of mine, the sprinkler nerd, Andy Humphreys, he did a great segment on his podcast, which is on my website. I believe it's on YouTube as well. Just the comparative with different donuts that's available out in the market.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit to now going back to just business in general. When I mentioned that kind of growth that we're going to see, that necessitates a lot of new people coming into e-commerce, but also business in general. What tips do you have for anyone that's thinking of um, going out on their own, and maybe they've got a product idea or are going to find a product idea they want to sell online? What tips do you have for anybody that's just getting started?
If they're really serious, and it's all about execution, you could have the best idea in the world, but if you don't execute, there's no, it's worthless. It's like Confederate money. But if you're really serious, you start thinking about a corporate name, a corporation name. So in Florida, we go to Sunbiz, and look at different names. Now you go see if that URL is available, because you want that URL to match your company name the closest it can. That's really step one. Start building prototypes out of materials that you have. Talk to patent attorneys, and you go to the USPTO office and do your own researches. Has this idea already been patented before you spin your wheels? And if you can't find it, sometimes it's worth paying a patent attorney $500 to go research for you before you even start the patent process. There's nothing worse than, you spent all this money and you can't even patent it now. Now you have to go back to the actual patent holder and ask permission. And of course, they're going to want a fee.
All right.
Well,
So start with a good idea, execute, and build a foundation for the business.
Research, research, research.
All right. Okay. Well, Ken, we've covered some ground there. Why don't you tell our listeners how they can find out more about you and find your product or find you?
Yeah, Ken Kwiatkowski. I'm in Florida, Bradenton, Florida. You can find my patented product on sprinkler-guard.com, and the old URL is still available, Grasshole, grassholesystem.com as well. I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on X, I'm everywhere. It'll take you to my website. I prefer you buy from my website, which will save you money. Currently, we're offering free shipping, same as Amazon, and my price is about $10 less than my Amazon price.
All right. Well,
And
I think
oh,
you have more there.
by the way, my company, Grasshole Corporation, is certified by the SBA in the state of Florida as a service disabled veteran-owned small business.
And made in the USA.
Correct.
All right. Well, I think we can wrap up there, Ken. So thanks very much for joining today and sharing your experience. And thank you to everyone listening, and we will see you next time.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Focal Insights Podcast. If you like this episode, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you can be alerted of new episodes. See you next time.